Welcome to the University of South Florida. Housing and Residential Education is so excited to welcome you to campus. Living on campus is the only way to get the full USF experience. We strive to provide ample options to accommodate the needs of each student. We offer traditional, suite, and apartment-style floor plans. Let's check out each style. Traditional style is what usually comes to mind when people think about college housing. Students will share a bedroom with a single roommate and then a bathroom with the rest of the floor. Traditional style living offers the most potential for interaction with other residents. We recommend this style for first-year students. Suite style offers more privacy than traditional style while still offering plenty of potential for interaction with other residents. Apartment style living offers the most independence. In this style, we offer private and double occupancy rooms, a kitchen with a full-size refrigerator and oven, and a furnished living room. Apartment style provides the privacy of independent living combined with the comfort of home. What every hall option has in common is that our student residents have the convenient access to classroom buildings, the library, and all of USF's amenities such as the Campus Recreation Center, Marshall Student Center, the on-campus Publix, Starbucks, dining halls, and more. Those living on campus also have access to the residential learning program led by the residential education team. This program provides tools, resources, and opportunities to our student residents to help them navigate their time at the university and position themselves for success. This proximity to classrooms and amenities combined with the residential learning program results in a much higher likelihood that on-campus residents will perform better academically and graduate at higher rates than those who live elsewhere. We are dedicated to creating safe and welcoming residential communities that promote student success. For more information, visit our website at usf.edu/housing. On our website, you can explore different hall options, complete the housing application steps, and select your future home. We hope to see you living the Bulls life at USF.
Coming to you from the beautiful University of South Florida campus in Tampa, it's USF Housing Live.
Hello and welcome to USF Housing Live. I'm your host, Elizabeth Fry, the Assistant Director for Communications with Housing and Residential Education here at the beautiful University of South Florida in Tampa. Now, we have an exciting episode planned tonight to help you prepare for college. Throughout this season, we'll be talking about on-campus housing, dining, financial aid, and so much more. So be sure to join us on Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. to hear from campus experts and have your questions answered live right here on the show. So tonight, first we'll be joined by the Associate Vice President of Housing and Residential Education. And then later on in the show, we'll also speak with the Associate Director for Operations and Outreach for Housing and Residential Education. Be sure to drop any questions you have in the comments from wherever you're watching, and we'll be sure to answer as many as we can throughout tonight's show. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ana Hernandez. She is the Associate Vice President for Housing and Residential Education. Ana, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, it's certainly my pleasure.
And today has been a very exciting day here in the housing and residential education world. Our housing application opened for our returning students for fall 2024, spring 2025, and summer 2024. So a lot happening. And we had quite the demand this morning.
So much demand. We almost broke the system, but we certainly made it through, and thank everybody for their patience. And please, if you ever have any difficulty getting through the system, just reach out. We have great staff that are waiting there to help. And so I'm really also glad that it's a two-step process where students apply first, and then we do the room selection in February in the spring. So at least if you apply today or if you apply tomorrow, it's all good.
Now, Ana, we already have some folks who are writing in some questions to us. So before we get to the questions we have prepared tonight, we have Elizabeth asking if completing the housing application is committing.
So the students that complete their housing application, they they're committed because they're signing the contract. However, part of the cancellation request is if it is that they decide that they're going to cancel the application, as long as they have not been assigned a bed or selected a bed, then they're eligible for cancellation. So they wouldn't get the $50 application fee returned, and they're eligible for cancellation as long as they have not been assigned a bed. So committed, yes, because you're signing a contract, so you shouldn't sign a contract without reading all of the details, but I would refer her back to the cancellation agreement, which shows, or cancellation section, which shows that you're eligible to cancel as long as you have not been assigned a bed or selected a bed.
And you did just answer this in your answer, but she asked if the $50 application fee can be refunded if she decides to live off campus. I know you just answered that, but just
Correct.
for clarity.
Yes, so the application fee is a non-refundable application fee.
And she has a few other questions we just want to address.
That's why we're here.
That's exactly why we're here. So thank you for writing them in. She also asks if it is first come, first serve, I'm assuming for room selection, because she goes on to say, do people that fill out housing applications first also get to select their room first?
So what we do is we assign lottery numbers for students when we go through the selection process, and we do that in smaller groups to try to manage some of the load on the system as well. And so the sooner that students complete their application and pay their application fee, then they're eligible to get their lottery number. So it's not always, first come, first serve, first application in, et cetera, but the earlier that you apply, then the lower your application or your lottery number would be.
And that selection is going to happen in February.
Yes,
So
for returning students,
for
correct.
returning students. So stay tuned to your USF email, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
Stephanie has a question. She says her student is currently in an LLC. Do they apply now for fall 24, or do they do this in February when room selection begins?
They should apply for housing now, and there's an opportunity for them to apply for the LLC at the same time. They may not be assigned to their particular space until the spring, but if they already know that they want to return to housing and that they want to be considered eligible for the LLC, then they should go ahead and apply now. The LLC partners that we have, there are a certain number of spaces that are designated for returning students. Many of our LLCs are very focused on the first year in college students, and so it's always good to let your LLC partner know, or the LLC know, and we'll let the partner know, that they're interested so that they can see what the demand is from the returning students. So I would say, just go ahead and apply now if they already know that they want to return.
Perfect. And Elizabeth and Stephanie, thank you so much for writing in. If you have any questions, continue to put those in the comments and we'll get them answered. But until we have any other questions come in, Anna, can you just talk to us about some of the options that are available for students who want to live on campus for the fall of 2024 or the spring?
Absolutely. So I'll build on the previous question. Is we have several living learning communities. I think there probably will be a whole episode that's devoted to the living learning communities later in the Housing Live series. But that's a great opportunity for students. I think we have over 1,500 spaces that we have for our living learning communities. But that is the options, and having a lot of options available for students is one of the hallmarks of the USF housing system. So that students can really find the home that fits them best, whether that is the type of room, the single, the double, the traditional suite style, apartment style, whether it's the location on campus, do they want to be on the north side or the south side, where are their classes, et cetera, or do they want to make sure that they have access to a kitchen, right? That can be both in an apartment potentially, as well as many of our buildings have access to community kitchens, which are really very active spaces. And so students just need to kind of get a sense of what kind of experience they're looking for, and then that's what we would try to guide them into those particular spaces. The other thing is, what is the student looking for from the residential experience? So sometimes students may be a little more shy or a little more introverted, and it would be great to be in more of a community setting where it forces them to get out of their room to, use a community restroom or go to a dining hall or whatever that may be. Others feel more comfortable in a smaller cohort, right? Like an adjoining suite type of situation or an apartment style community. And so it really is what the student thinks fits them best, and they know themselves better than I know them or any of my staff know them. So we just try to provide the options and let students know what's out there. And I would encourage everybody, before we get to the selection phase, to go to the housing website and take a look at all the options that are available. And when we get to the selection phase, have a couple of options in your back pocket. If this isn't available, what would you do next? What would you do next?
So look over your options, be prepared, be ready. There's a lot to choose from, so it's
There
good to
is.
take a look at our website. We have some more questions rolling in.
Sure.
Elizabeth asks, do LLCs have specific floors for second years or specific dorms or apartments for second years?
The living learning communities themselves have designated spaces, but the spaces are not divided by whether they're returners or whether they're first-year students or new students to the campus. Usually in a living learning community, if it is that they're allowing returners to come back to the space, one of the expectations is that they're there to work and mentor the first-year students that are coming in, and sort of showing them the ropes of campus, et cetera. So there isn't separation between the first years in the living learning communities live here and the returners live there. It sort of defeats the purpose.
That's right. It's one big community, right?
It is.
Wolfie asks, an email was sent out regarding housing for spring 2024, yet there are no rooms open. Why is this?
We have incredible demand. That's really the basic answer. We do have a standby list that is available, and so I would encourage them to make sure that their name is on that standby list. And we actively go through the standby list as spaces become available. For the spring, which is sort of a unique transition from the fall to the spring, we have assigned all of the beds that are currently empty. And so what we're waiting for now is students that potentially haven't let us know yet that maybe they're not returning to USF, maybe they're graduating, maybe they're transferring out. Unfortunately, maybe they have some academic challenges, and so over the course of the next 5 weeks or so, we'll get more beds in the inventory, and then we'll place the students that are on the standby list. So last year we offered space to, I think, about 300 students that were on the standby list. So not guaranteed, but it's still an active process, and we're early on in the process.
And we do have a direct link to that standby list on our website, so be sure to check our website out and get on that list if you haven't already. This ties into a little bit of the kind of see what your options are regarding the rooms. One person asked that we aren't able to pick a room or know what room we'll have until February, so is there a way to see what rooms are available before then?
So for the fall, so we start the fall, everything's empty. So we do have designations of beds just so that we can manage the inventory that would be available for returning students versus the first-year students. But most of the room types that we have that are posted online will be available in some way, shape, or form for our returning students and for our first-year students. So.
And we have this is really exciting, but we have a lot of interest in the LLCs this evening, which is great. Keith asked, can his son join the business LLC as a sophomore? He was exploring as a freshman and has now selected pre-business.
What I would encourage him to do is he can reach out to us, and we'll put him in contact with the partner, and we'll see what that demand looks like. Usually it's returners that have lived in the LLC prior to, somebody that's living in the LLC this year, returning next year, would receive priority. But it sounds like that's a unique situation, and so we'd be happy to make those connections, and I want to make sure that he gets the right answer. So I don't know what the answer is right now, so let me just make the connection so that we can get him the right answer.
So be sure to reach out to our team, and we'll be happy to assist you. Tara asked, her daughter is currently participating in a study abroad program, and she's scheduled to attend USF in the spring. She'll be a first-year student, so how likely is she to get a room?
First question that I would ask is if she's applied and if she's on the standby list, because it's more likely that she would be able to get a room if both of those things are true. And if they're not, and she wants to live on campus, then that's what I would say, that she needs to do that. So again, I can't guarantee it because it depends on students that are currently in the spaces releasing the spaces to allow us to assign them. But that's the best advice I can give, is to apply and get on the standby list. And you definitely won't get assigned if you're not on the standby list. So.
And we have a lot of questions about the standby list coming in
Okay,
right now.
sure.
So Leanne asks if we expect every student on the Spring 24 standby list to get a room.
At this point, based on the numbers that we're seeing on the standby list, it's likely. So if you're already on the standby list, it is likely. I can't make a blanket statement that everybody that ends up on the standby list, if they apply later on, or if we don't see that there are the traditional number of beds that come open between now and January. But right now, it looks like the students that are currently on the standby list will be offered something. Again, it's trying to navigate the gender breakdown as well, because, if half of a room is open and we have more males on the standby lists and more female spaces, and it gets a little tricky. But we have expert assignment staff, and they try to accommodate and make that a reality for every student.
And to your point, Anna, regarding the male-female spaces, we do keep a rolling count on our website as to how many people, male and female, are still on the list. So if you're interested in following along with that process, it is there. But our team is actively working very hard to make sure they can accommodate as many people as possible. Leanne also asked if students apply today for the 2024-2025 housing application, what time tomorrow would that fee be posted on Oasis?
I know it will be posted by the end of the day. Usually it comes on in the morning, but I would say if they want to check afternoon, it should show up by then. So if not, then check the next day and we'll be good.
It will show up, we promise.
It will show up.
So, Anna, let's get back to our questions.
Sure.
And there's so many, but what are some of the benefits for students who choose to live on campus here at USF?
We are very excited that we align with the national trends, which are students that live on campus, especially in their first year, but students that continue to live on campus tend to graduate at a faster pace, meaning that they get through their college career in 4 years, maybe 5 years, but they end up graduating and progressing at a faster pace. They usually have more academic success, and sometimes that is not always in the first semester, but we have a lot of resources, and so students get back on track if they get off track a little bit. So we have that academic support, and they also tend to do better if they're working and if they're involved in student activities. And the residential students end up being very involved on campus for the most part, and usually have an on-campus job. And so that convenience factor really is helpful for them too.
And we also have a lot of aspects here on campus to ensure we keep our students safe, because that is a priority for us, right?
Absolutely, especially if this is the first time that students may be living away from home. Sometimes I know that is a concern, or at least a question for many families and the students themselves. And so we have many things that we do. One, we have professional staff that live in the buildings that are trained. We have the student staff that are there. We have a university police force that is on campus. We require card access, so only students that are living in the particular building. They have to swipe in their building, sometimes in their, even to get into their hallway. And one of the best things that we do to build safety in our communities is building community. Because if you know who it is that's supposed to be in the building, who your neighbors are, et cetera, then if there's something that seems off, then we have ways to report that and navigate that.
And our campus community is really special here at USF. So what are some of the opportunities that students have to get connected, get involved here on campus?
Absolutely. We have over 800 student organizations, and I think that probably is another episode that will be on later in the series. But what I really encourage students to do is there are a lot of students that have been active in high school, even middle school, in in sports, in clubs, those types of things. So if there's something that somebody really likes to do, seek that out, right? It'll be something familiar. It'll be something that you have in connection with other students right from the start. I would also encourage them to seek out something that they've never done before, And they may like it, they may not like it, but why not try it? And so just trying to put yourself out there. And then I would encourage them to also see what is available in their college, professional development, going to listen to speakers, those types of things, and just be involved. One of the great things about living on campus is you don't have to worry about, okay, the event is at 7 o'clock. I've already gone home after my classes, and then I have to get something to eat. Then I have to go back and get back in the car, and then I have to drive and get parking again, et cetera. When you live on campus, you go to your classes, you may go back to your residence hall, grab something to eat in the dining hall, and then you can go to a club or you can go to an event, really low risk. And if you don't like it, you can always leave, and you're, a couple minutes away from home.
You can even maybe squeeze a nap in there.
You could.
In between class events.
That's it.
And I know there's so much exciting things that are happening on our campus, in this community, a lot to talk about, but is there anything else you would like to add to this conversation before we let you go?
Sure. One of the things that's really exciting for me and for USF is we are excited that starting in the fall of 2024, every USF student on every campus will have the opportunity to have access to the residential experience. We're opening a brand new residence hall in Sarasota, Manatee, the first ever. It will be part of a student center as well, and there'll be 200 beds there. And so that's the first time that not only can students live on the Tampa campus or the St. Petersburg campus, but now the Sarasota Manatee campus as well. And that is just super exciting, and it's open to all USF students. So if they're taking some of their classes in Sarasota Manatee and they're taking some classes in Tampa, they can still live on the Sarasota Manatee campus. So it's great. It's wonderful. It's the newest inventory that we'll have available, and I can tell you that the students on that campus and the faculty and the staff are just over the moon excited about that project.
And there's going to be some beautiful views from that residence hall too.
Oh, absolutely.
Anna, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you so much. And if anyone has any questions about anything you talked about, what is the best way for them to reach out?
The best thing to do is to go to housing@usf.edu. Reach out to the main housing office. That's where the bulk of the staff that are available to answer the questions that they may have. We also have a very robust website, and so I would encourage them to explore that as well. But, anytime we can be helpful, please encourage people to reach out.
We're happy to help. Well, Anna, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
Well, we'll be right back with more USF Housing Live right after this. And don't worry, we'll get all your questions answered. Stay with us.
Welcome home to the Village. This is our newest residential community at USF. The Village is located on the north side of campus and consists of 5 buildings: Endeavor, Pinnacle, Horizon, Beacon, and Summit. These halls all contain a mix of traditional style and suite style double occupancy rooms. There are a limited number of single rooms also available. In these halls, you get the opportunity to interact with fellow residents. Residents in traditional style rooms share a room with their roommate and a bathroom with their floor mates. Typically, there are 3 to 4 traditional style rooms per bathroom. These bathrooms are cleaned daily by our custodial staff. Suite style residents share a room and a private bathroom with 1 roommate. These bathrooms are cleaned weekly, with sinks located outside the bathroom. Every room comes furnished with a bed, desk, chair, dresser, and closet space for each student. If you like to maximize your space, you can submit a maintenance request to have your bed raised up to 5 feet off the ground, allowing you to put your desk or dresser underneath. There's also a large window in every room that lets plenty of natural light into your space. On each floor, there's a spacious common area with plenty of seating options. and a kitchen area with a sink and a microwave for convenient cooking and cleanup. Every building in the village has a unique ground floor lobby with multiple common areas and a full kitchen featuring a stainless steel fridge, oven, stovetop, and sink. If you need groceries, there's an on-campus Publix only a short walk away. If you don't feel like cooking, the Hub is even closer. This all-you-care-to-eat dining hall has a wide variety of meal options that meet various dietary preferences and needs. Pinnacle Hall offers additional dining options to the USF community. You can grab your morning coffee at Starbucks or stop by BurgerFi right next door for lunch. Looking to get active? The Fit is located right next to the Hub. This wellness and recreational center has a variety of equipment for use, such as exercise bikes and strength machines. When it's time to do your laundry, you can visit the laundry room on the first floor of your building. You can use quarters or load funds onto the Speed Clean app with your phone. The choice is yours. When you have some downtime, you can cool off in the zero-entry resort-style pool located just outside the Fit. To learn more about our housing options, visit usf.edu/housing. Get ready to live the Bulls life.
Welcome back. For those of you just now joining us, this is USF Housing Live, and we're here to help you prepare to live the Bulls life at USF. Ask us your questions in the comments, and we'll answer them right here live on the show. Our second guest for this evening is the Associate Director for Operations and Outreach, Dave Kloiber. Dave, thanks so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Well, we are glad you're here, and we already have some questions ready to go from some folks in the comments. Our first question is from Rachel, and she would like to know if dogs are allowed.
So, Rachel, you can have dogs on campus. However, in order to have an animal in the residence halls, it would either have to be a service animal or an emotional support animal. We have a pet policy which allows tropical fish in a 10-gallon tank or less. And so, unfortunately, unless the dog fell into one of those categories, a student would not be allowed to have a dog.
And there is documentation and a whole process they would need to go through.
Definitely a whole process. You can check our website for more information on how to apply for an emotional support animal. But it would need to be prescribed by a presiding physician.
Okay. We have another question from Elizabeth, and she wanted to know, she asked earlier in the show tonight about some cancellation information, so she would like to know where she can find the cancellation policy.
So the cancellation information is on the agreement. So if the student's already done the agreement or done the housing application, in their email will be a copy of the housing agreement, and it would be in section 4 of the housing agreement. Otherwise, they can go to the USF website under the resources section, and I should say the housing website under the resources section, and there'll be a spot for housing agreements.
And it is posted. We made sure it got up today, so you can go check it out. Another question, do we get priority on our current rooms if we don't want to move next year, or will we have to reselect our room?
So you would have to go through selection again. And, you know, I've been here a long time, and we've tried doing same room sign up, and it just wasn't a vastly popular option. The other challenge we run into is that we have so many learning communities and so many facilities that are held for a particular program in the residence halls that sometimes a student isn't able to return to their room because maybe that room is part of that program. And so it's caused other challenges, but we do allow for roommate groups to try and select initially. And so that's a great opportunity to try and be able to have a block of students who want to live together and then select together.
And we will talk about roommates and touch on all of that. So if you have any questions, don't worry, we will get to that. But today was a big day for us here in the housing and residential education world because, like we mentioned with Anna, our housing application opened for returner students for the summer 2024 and also for fall 2024 and spring 2025. So,
Yes.
Dave, now would be a great time to talk about how that application process works.
So the application process is fairly straightforward. You go to our housing portal, which is available through either My USF or through the housing website. You can log in, go to the Tampa campus or St. Pete campus if you wanted to go there, or even the Sarasota campus if you want to return to the Sarasota campus. And you can go in there, select apply, and complete the housing application.
Now, there are some steps that students will need to take to make sure they are doing everything correctly. So, walk us through that checklist, what those steps look like, and what they need to make sure they have done.
Sure. Well, the steps are after you apply, the very next business day, the $50 non-refundable application fee will be added to the student's Oasis account. And then they can go into the account and make that payment. Once that payment's recorded, then we will record that information in the housing software. And then that essentially will complete the housing application portion. And then for our continuing students, they've already gone through orientation. So they essentially, once that application payment is made, will be ready for assignment. Now, of course, assignment won't happen for a few more months, but they will be basically just in a holding pattern until February comes around and when we can start room selection.
And now I know we get a lot of questions every year regarding the whole payment process, where that application fee goes to, how that's paid. So would you mind touching on that really quick?
Sure. So it gets really confusing when you're a first-time college student or you're a new student to the university and you're paying that admissions deposit and you're like, well, I paid $200. Why isn't it going toward the housing application fee? Well, the admissions deposit can only go toward tuition or fees. And so when you apply for housing, that's typically the first fee that'll actually be on your account, but you do have to actually pay that fee directly. In order to do that, you can go to Oasis and do what we call line pay. And if you have questions about that, there's actually a wonderful video on the housing website to explain exactly how to do line payment in the Oasis system. Now, for our continuing students, they've already had bills, and their admissions deposit should be well gone by now. And so for them, they would just log in and pay their application fee.
And again, if you have any questions, we do have that nice step-by-step video on our website to walk you through that. We have some more questions coming in. Rachel asks, what on-campus housing is recommended for older students?
So really, it all depends on you as an individual. Everything can be a little different. Are you looking at a price point? Are you looking at privacy? For most of our older students, I'd probably say, yeah, you're probably looking at a single bedroom in an apartment because that's going to give you your most independent living option. You're going to have a bedroom to yourself, but you will share the apartment, and you'll probably want to cook for yourself. But if you're coming in as a first-time college student and an older student, you will be required to have a meal plan.
That is true. Elizabeth asks, does the housing application make you pick a specific dorm, hall, or apartment?
That's actually a great question. Many years ago, yes, but now we don't do that because so many students thought, well, I picked something already. I've already been assigned. It doesn't work that way. When you apply for housing, you're telling us, I want housing, and I want to be included in room selection. And room selection works kind of like when you're booking seats on a flight. So you look at what's available. You find, there's an empty seat there, or in our case, an empty bed. And you say, well, I like where that bed is located on the floor. I can see maybe it's not too close to the stairwell, and it's not too close to the elevator. It's near a bathroom, or if it's an apartment, it's got a bathroom in it. And you can say, okay, that's the one I want, and you select it. Once you select it and you click submit, it's yours.
That process will happen later on.
February.
In
For our
February.
continuing students.
So just make sure you have your application in. That's the first step right now.
Yes.
I know Anna touched on this, but if we have folks who are just joining us now, what type of room options do we have available to our students here on campus?
So we have three basic options. We have traditional, suite style, and apartment style. Traditional is what people would really consider, that the idea of they have in their head of the dorm. And now we don't call our buildings dorms.
No, we're not.
You do a lot more than just sleep in our buildings. You live in our buildings, so we call them residence halls. But that's the double or maybe even a single room with a bathroom down the hall. Now, we don't have a lot of single traditional rooms. And a lot of our single traditionals and our single suites we do hold for our students who have either medical or disability challenges where they need a single accommodation in order to be more successful here at USF. In our suite style, most of those are, again, double rooms that either share a bathroom with another double room, or maybe they just have that bathroom for themselves in that double room. And we do clean those bathrooms every day, or every week, which is great. And then we have our apartment style, which again, primarily single rooms. However, we do have a few double rooms. And the apartments have, a variety of room types, so single or double. It could be anywhere from 2 singles all the way up to 2 doubles and a single, or a double and 3 singles in COSOF Hall. But you could have anywhere from 2 people in an apartment up to 5 people in an apartment. And we have a few different floor plans. And even our website can't show them all because COSOF has a very unique layout. And for our continuing students who are thinking about going into COSOF, talk to people who live there now. That's actually why we reserve COSOF for our continuing students, because there are such a variety of layouts in those units that we ask students really make sure what you're going into.
Now, Dave, today when people applied and they're hearing, we can't select a room till February, that seems so far away. And I'm sure a lot of people are a little antsy about taking that next step. So what reassurance would you give to folks as to how this process works and as they prepare for February?
So, I was listening in earlier, and Anna had it right, or Ana Hernandez, our vice president, had it right. You want to go into room selection with a few different options. It's great to have your number one preference, but that may not be available. I can tell you right now, like we talked about, apartments will go much quicker than, let's say, suites, than, let's say, traditionals. And so you want to make sure you have some fallback when you're going into room selection. You may not be able to select the exact room you want. And so you do want to be prepared with an idea of not only where I want to live, but what kind of room I want to live in. And there'll be lots of opportunities to, you've got really 3-4 months right now to plan, to ask questions, to ask other people, to get roommate groups together, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit. But we give you that time in order to give you the time to really get all your ducks in a row, so to speak.
And even come take a housing tour if that's something that you
Definitely.
need to do.
Though even right now, we're so full that even we don't have a showroom in every style of housing.
That's right. But at least they'll give you a little taste of what
Definitely
we have to offer. Rachel did have a question. She asked, how does Greek housing work? I'm in a sorority that has on-campus housing.
So our sororities that have a facility in Greek Village, they have leased that facility as an organization, and the organization will tell us who they want to live in the particular room. And it's up to the student then to complete the Greek Village housing application. And once that's complete and we have an assignment for them, we can then go in and assign them to that space.
So let's circle back to some of the questions that we had tonight. What can you tell us? I know Anna touched on it a little bit, but amongst all of the options that we have here, we also have something very special called our Living Learning Communities. So can you talk to us a little bit about what that's all about?
Sure. Living Learning Communities are based on either, let's say, a major or an academic focus or an area of interest. Back when I was a hall director, a long, long time ago, probably before many of our students that live here now were even alive, it is a wonderful opportunity for students to be able to learn as a group, to have a cohort of students who are interested in the same interests or in the same major, to get exposure to that field that they may be going into. So, for instance, with business, they're bringing in business leaders from across the Tampa Bay community. Could turn into an internship opportunity one day. which is critical for when you want to leave school, is having that internship opportunity under your belt to say, yes, I do have some practical experience now that I want to get into this field. And so it can really help a student propel them and be more successful, not only here at the university, but beyond.
And those connections, they are valuable.
They are very valuable.
So what if someone's looking at our LLC page and they see that there's a few different LLCs that actually pique their interest or might be applicable to them? How can they apply, but also can they apply for more than one?
Sure. So once you've completed a housing application, which many people have done today, you can actually then submit a living learning application, as many as you qualify for. Now, you may log into one and it says you don't have access. Maybe if you're looking at the public health one, you need to be a public health major in order to apply for that. If you're looking at the nursing one, you need to be a nursing, pre-nursing major. And so there are some filters on the applications to say, I'm sorry, you just don't qualify at this time to apply. But then you can submit for the ones you do qualify for. You can submit for every one of them if you like. And then we've asked our partners to talk to each other about who can offer them that opportunity. And if you have one that you prefer more than the other, make sure that you're reaching out to that LLC to tell them that. Once you apply, you get an email from that advisor saying thank you for applying, and now you have their contact information to get more information about the process if you need it.
And of course, all of this is on our website if you need a refresher on anything that Dave is mentioning right now. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I want to make sure we touch on this because it is very important. So for our current residents right now who may be going through the housing application for next year, what happens if they had an ADA accommodation for this year? What does that process look like as they prepare for next year?
So the process is going to be very similar to what they had last year. The only thing, they may not have to provide new documentation. So we want to know that they need that accommodation again, because some accommodations may be temporary, but many are permanent situations that they need to continue to receive that support. And so let's say they've been approved for an emotional support animal. They would just indicate, they would put in their request and say, I look to have my emotional support animal again, and I've already been approved this year, and I'd like to continue to have the animal for next year. We will look at that and we'll see, yep, you already have an approved animal, we'll continue to approve that again. If you're in a wheelchair accessible room because as a student you're in a wheelchair, we'll already have that information, and so you won't have to provide new documentation to prove that you still have that condition, unless it was a temporary condition. And then we can work with you individually to make sure we're getting you into that room prior to room selection.
And again, if any questions that anyone has, just reach out to our team and we'll be happy to walk you through all of that.
Definitely.
Now, this is something that a lot of people always want to know about, Dave, and I know you spend a lot of time answering questions about this. Roommates. So if students have people that they want to live with, whether it's one person or multiple, how does that process work? Is that even a possibility?
Sure. Like I said earlier, you can have as many as 2 to 5 roommates, or really a roommate group of anywhere from 2 to 5 people as a continuing student. And so, because we have units that hold as little as 2 people or as many as 5, that would be in COSOV apartments. Now, in order to form a roommate group, we're going to open up that process probably after we return from the holidays. This gives you all time to work out who wants to live with who, and then we'll formalize that process once we open up the roommate groups for functionality of the housing portal, where you'll be able to go to, I believe it's My Profile, and then roommate groups, and then you can form that roommate group. What's great about the group is when you invite people to join your group, they get an email. They can go into the housing portal and accept or decline your invitation. If they later on decide, I'm going to go into somebody else's group, they have to go in and decline your invitation again, and you'll get notified. So there's no confusion. And so unless they do it last minute, you should be ready to go. Now, once you have that roommate group formed, one person, only needs to go in and select for all the roommates, which makes it very convenient. And so, maybe one of the people you're going to be a roommate with, they applied today. They're going to pay tomorrow. They're in line. But you don't do your application till January, and you pay in February. Well, as long as that group is done, the person who did it today and pays tomorrow can select for you, even though you didn't do anything for 3 months. And so it has a great opportunity to get people in who maybe weren't as quick to apply. Maybe they weren't sure yet, but it can still keep the group together.
And just in case anyone missed this, when does this open up again, the roommate groups?
I would imagine that we'll open it up, and we'll make sure everybody knows, but we'll probably open it up after we return from the holidays.
So this is something that students can do ahead of room selection. They can have this done
They
beforehand.
need to do it ahead of room selection. That's a critical function. And, maybe right now you're a freshman, or you're a sophomore, or you've got a cousin who's coming, or a sibling who's coming in next year. Even though they're not a continuing student, we value how important a roommate group can be. And so you can bring that new student in. You just have to wait for them to be able to apply, because you can only bring someone in if they're ready for assignment.
And Dave, that was the perfect segue. It's almost like you knew a question that we had written in. Danielle asked, my son is a senior who is still waiting to hear about his acceptance. So he can't do anything with housing until he gets in, correct?
That is correct. You can even try to go to the housing portal. It won't let you in because we don't know if you're accepted yet. So admission begins to roll out on, I think it's Friday, December 8th, which is also our last day of the term for housing. And so keep an eye on your email, either your personal or specifically your USF email account. You'll know on email before you get it in the mail. And so once you have your email saying you're admitted, go to the housing portal, log in, complete your housing application. If you know, A, USF is high in my list, and B, if I come here, I need housing.
And she had a second part to that question. You did touch on this earlier, but just so that we make sure everyone knows, orientation is part of that checklist if you are a new student wanting
Yes,
to
it
apply
is.
for housing. So Danielle asked, what can you tell me about the orientation day?
So I'll start with registering for orientation. Orientation registration opens up in late February, I believe. I want to say it's February 26th, but I'm not sure. But there'll be more information on the orientation website about that. So once you register for orientation, you're going to select from one of the orientation sessions. You'll attend that session. You can bring family. There's an extra fee for family. But they'll be learning what it is to be a bull. They'll be meeting other students. They'll be going through some of the required academic trainings that we're going to talk about how to do things here at USF. And it's a great way to start off your career here at USF. It's actually a one-day in person, and I believe the second day depends on whether or not what college you're in, whether or not your advising is going to be in person or virtually. And more information will be available about that on the orientation website as we get closer to the registration period opening up.
And again, all that is on our website. I know
Yep.
we're giving you guys a lot of information, but any questions, call us or head to our website and we'll help you out. Elizabeth had another question. She asked, is any other housing besides Kozov reserved for upperclassmen?
Yes, Cypress Apartments. So both Cypress C and D, which are apartment style, are also for continuing or non-FTIC students.
Okay. And again, all that's on our website. I don't believe we have any other questions for you tonight, Dave, but I know this whole process can be overwhelming for folks who are trying to figure this out for the first time. So what's your calming words of wisdom to give to them?
As long as you follow through with all the steps, more than likely you're going to have no issues getting a room on campus. Will you get the exact spot you want? That depends on how early you do everything. In addition, keep an eye on, your email. Keep an eye on social media if you're part of social media. I know that you and your office put out a lot of things on social media. Keep an eye on our website. If this is something you need or want, then you need to make sure you're doing all the work to get it. And I know that we'll be on, I think I'm on the first two Housing Live
In January, yep.
episodes. And so I'll probably be doing live demonstrations of the software and what room selection looks like. We'll probably have some FAQs, which are just about room selection. And so if you have questions about that, or if you're a new student that has never done it before, that's a great opportunity to learn. I think last year or 2 years ago, we probably had almost 1,000 people watching live the demo we did, and it really helped them be prepared to select their room a few days later. And so there are lots of resources out there, and don't be afraid to ask questions, call us, email us. We're always around to help, and we'll do the best we can to steer you in the right direction.
And we're happy to help all the
Yep.
time. So, Dave, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And like you said, we'll be talking to you again later on this season.
Anytime.
Well, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to our office by email at housing@usf.edu or by phone at 813-974-0000. Let me repeat that for you. 813-974-0001. Again, we are happy to help. Be sure to join us on January 10th at 6 p.m. for our official Season 10 kickoff. You can watch on our Facebook or YouTube page or the USF Parent and Family Engagement Facebook page. USF Housing Live is produced by Housing and Residential Education at the University of South Florida in Tampa. Our motto is best place to live, best place to work, best place to learn. Thank you to tonight's guests for joining me this evening. Thank you to our production crew, to you, our viewers, and of course, there's always just one last thing. Go Bulls. Good night, everyone.